Hey there, pet parents. It's Zach from the Pampered Pup. In this A Pup Above versus PetPlate comparison, I'm going to help you pick a fresh food that's absolutely delicious for your dog. I'm going to put these fresh dog foods head to head in terms of quality, that is how they look, how they smell, how they taste, and then I'm going to compare them in terms of convenience to the pet owner. Things like managing your subscription, how fast shipping is, how the food itself is packaged, and finally I'll evaluate the cost of these two fresh dog foods. And I've done the math to make sure we're making a fair comparison across the brands. In my opinion, A Pup Above is the better choice for pet parents. They make absolutely delicious food that's packed with quality protein, and frankly, PetPlate comes up short in one very important area, but more on that in just a bit. If you decide to choose either A Pup Above or PetPlate for your dog, make sure to use my links in the description of this video to get the best discount that I currently have my hands on. So let's start off by assessing how each of the recipes from A Pup Above and PetPlate look, and we'll put them side by side right here so that we can see what we're looking at. We'll start with the beef recipes from each brand. And on your right, I have A Pup Above's Texas Beef Stew, and on your left, I have PetPlate's Barkin' Beef. So what I notice is that PetPlate has nice large chunks of the ingredients here. It looks like there's both regular potato and sweet potato. There's some green peas in there. Definitely nice chunks. And while there's also nice chunks of vegetables in A Pup Above's beef recipe, I would say they're not nearly as large as you see in the PetPlate recipe here. The other thing I noticed is that the meat texture looks quite a bit different between the two dishes. The beef in A Pup Above's recipe looks like it has a nice firm texture, whereas the beef in the PetPlate recipe seems to be a bit on the mushy side. Definitely not too bad, I've seen worse, but the meat does look a little bit better in the case of the A Pup Above beef recipe here. The colors of the vegetables are also a little bit brighter in the A Pup Above recipe, but not overwhelmingly so. All things considered, I think the huge chunks of vegetables in PetPlate's Barkin' Beef recipe give it the upper hand here. Next, let's look at the pork recipes from each brand, and on your right I have A Pup Above's Porky's Luau, and on your left, I have PetPlate's Power Packed Pork. So the difference to me in this case is clear. PetPlate's recipes have really nice large chunks of the pork meat itself. You can also see the full grains, whole chunks of green bean, and what appears to be some carrot in there as well. Pup Above's recipe just doesn't stack up in that regard. There are whole green beans in there, but beyond that, there's not much going on. And while the texture of the pork looks pretty nice in the A Pup Above recipe, it's nowhere near what you're getting with the chunks of pork in PetPlate's recipe here. Now let's look at the turkey recipes from each company. And I have on your right the turkey paella from A Pup Above, and on your left, PetPlate's tail wagging turkey. So the textures of the meats here look fairly similar, I would say, both relatively firm, not overly sloppy, anything like that. And both have similarly sized vegetables in there. Overall, I'd say the color of the turkey itself looks a little bit brighter in the case of PetPlate, and it's nice to see those brown grains of rice in there. But I think the color of the vegetables is a little bit more vibrant on A Pup Above's turkey recipe here. That said, I still think PetPlate's tail wagging turkey gets the upper hand in appearance here. So right now they're up 3-0. Last but not least, let's look at the turkey recipes from each brand. And on your right, I have the Chicka Chicka Bow Wow from A Pup Above, and on your left, I have the Chompin' Chicken from PetPlate. As usual, the chicken itself looks nice and firm in texture from A Pup Above, but there's not all that much going on in terms of nice chunks of vegetables in this case, whereas with PetPlate's recipe, you're getting nice chunks of what appears to be sweet potato, beautiful red lentils, whole green beans. There's a lot going on there, a lot to like. Once again, I would say the meat in this PetPlate recipe looks a little bit more on the sloppy side than you get with the Pup Above's recipes, but still, to me, the clear winner in terms of appearance is PetPlate's recipe here. So right down the line, I think all of PetPlate's recipes look more appealing from a visual standpoint than A Pup Above's recipes. Well, let's see how they stack up in terms of smell. Let's start with the beef here, and I'll give A Pup Above a try first. So that smells warm and spicy. It almost smells a bit along the lines of what you'd expect for chili, not quite a Texas beef stew. Although I've never had Texas beef stew, so maybe I'm wrong. But generally it smells clean. Nice sort of herbal, aromatic profile. Nothing off-putting there. Smells appetizing for sure. Let's see how PetPlate's Barkin' Beef smells for comparison. So that smells a little bit more like beef, I would say. And again, there's not anything off-putting with PetPlate's Barkin' Beef recipe here, but the spicy herbal notes in A Pup Above's beef recipe definitely smell a little bit more appetizing. So I'm going to give them the point there. Now it's time for the pork recipes. We'll start with Pup Above again. As before, that smells quite spicy and herbal. It smells a little bit strong for my taste, I would say, but not off-putting. Doesn't smell like dog food per se, just a bit strong. Perhaps a little bit heavy on the herbs for my palate. Now let's smell PetPlate. Okay, so that definitely smells off-putting. It smells a little bit like maybe fishy, like cod liver oil or something like that. It definitely gives me the impression that I'm smelling dog food here. Not so appetizing and not something I'd really want to give a try. Pup Above definitely takes the cake here. Now let's try the turkey recipes. And that definitely smells appealing. It's, a nice balanced herbal flavor once again. No off-putting smells, nothing like that. So let's compare that with the turkey recipe from PetPlate. And that one smells it smells interesting. I'm not sure if it smells good or bad. It has a little bit of a sweetness to it that I've definitely detected every time I've smelled this recipe before. I'm not sure what to attribute it to. Part of it smells interesting. Part of it smells like maybe not quite something I'd enjoy, but I wouldn't say it's overtly off-putting. But when you put that next to A Pup Above's turkey recipe, A Pup Above definitely smells quite a bit more delicious. So they get the point there again. Last but not least, let's smell the chicken recipes. We'll start with A Pup Above. That smells very mild, very balanced, no off-putting smells whatsoever. Nothing about that smells like dog food. And I would say it's the least pronounced herbal smell of all 4 recipes that I've assessed from A Pup Above here. Let's see how that compares with PetPlate's chicken recipe. So that one doesn't smell too bad, but it does have a little bit of that sort of unidentified sweet smell that I smelled in the turkey recipe as well. It's definitely milder and a little bit harder to pick out, but overall it smells a little bit less on the clean side, and A Pup Above's chicken recipe definitely smells a little bit more delicious. So just like PetPlate won across the board in terms of appearance, A Pup Above won across the board in terms of smell. But how do these recipes taste? So typically when I'm tasting fresh dog foods, I like to test them side by side so I can really get a good objective picture of which one tastes better. Unfortunately, the recipes from PetPlate have a bit of a strong flavor. Some are worse than others, but some of them are quite strong. Definitely taste like dog food. And as a result, I haven't really wanted to try them again after eating them a few times. Whereas the Pup Above's recipes, on the other hand, are generally speaking delicious. What I'll do is I'll leave the links to the videos where I ate these dog foods the first time in the description of this video here, so you can check those out if you'd like. Despite the strong flavors, what PetPlate does have going for it is a really nice texture. All of those nice chunks of ingredients really elevate the eating experience, and they make up for the strong flavor in some respect. Meanwhile, A Pup Above's recipes are definitely some of the best tasting dog foods I've tried. And the textures of their recipes are really great too. Particularly the meat itself is a pleasure to eat. And those herbal elements that I detected when assessing the smell of A Pup Above's recipes, they come through really nicely in the flavor profile as well. So while PetPlate has a lot going for it in many ways, if you're looking for a delicious dog food, then A Pup Above is the way to go here. There's more to consider though, so let's keep moving along. And just a few more notes about what goes into the food itself. The recipes from both of these brands are formulated by veterinary nutritionists, although PetPlate says that their veterinary nutritionists are board certified, and A Pup Above doesn't mention this on their website as far as I could tell. The recipes from both brands are nutritionally balanced and complete to comply with AAFCO standards. And both companies cook their recipes in USDA kitchens, so they're subjected to the same safety standards as human food. In terms of nutrition, the most important thing to me is protein content as fed. There's a bit of a gap here. While the Pup Above's recipes are really on the high end at 13 to 14% protein as fed, PetPlate's recipes come in at about 8 to 11% as fed. While PetPlate's definitely a bit lower here, they're pretty much in line with what you typically see across fresh dog food brands. That just means that your dog's getting a bit more delicious protein with each bite of A Pup Above. And what about convenience to the pet owner? Well, when it comes to purchasing, A Pup Above's definitely a standout in the world of fresh dog food. They're the only brand that I've tried that doesn't require you to have a subscription in order to purchase their fresh dog food for your pup. PetPlate, like most other brands, does require you to carry a subscription, although it's really easy to cancel if you decide it's not right for you. It can be done entirely from your account dashboard on their website. There's no need to call customer service or anything like that. With a few clicks, you're good to go. That said, I do think with a subscription, you tend to spend a little bit more money in the long run, so I think A Pup Above's got the upper hand here. In terms of shipping, both A Pup Above and PetPlate were among the slowest experiences I've had. A Pup Above was absolutely the slowest. I placed my order with them on a Sunday night, and my package got there not the following Thursday, but the Thursday after that. So it was a total of 8 business days between placing my order and receiving the shipment. PetPlate was the second slowest though. I also placed my order with them on a Sunday night, and I received the package not the following Tuesday, but the Tuesday after that. So it was a total of 6 business days between when I placed my order and when I received the package. Of course, shipping times will vary based on your location in the United States, but in my experience, both were on the slow side. I wasn't a huge fan of the shipping materials that A Pup Above packed their shipments with. It was some sort of material in plastic wrap. It wasn't cellulose, so I wasn't quite sure how to dispose of it, and ultimately I put it in the trash, which never makes me feel good. PetPlate's packing materials, on the other hand, were completely recyclable, so after I unpacked everything, I could simply put it in my recycling bin. No worries there. And in terms of how the food itself is packaged, A Pup Above gives you 1 pound frozen patties that are vacuum sealed in plastic. There's no easy peel tab or anything like that, so you do have to get a pair of scissors dirty every time you want to open it, but it's not too much food to defrost at a single time. PetPlate's frozen patties are a little bit smaller at about 3/4 of a pound. I think it's 12 ounces, or 340 grams. And they also have the ingredients and the nutrition facts right there so you can see them at a glance. When it comes time to serve the food, both companies say it should be eaten within 7 days of defrosting, so they're identical in that regard. And of course, it's important to compare A Pup Above and PetPlate on cost. I like to evaluate the cost of fresh dog food on a dollars per pound basis. This helps to keep things even when you're comparing across brands. A lot of them give you this dollars per week or dollars per day figure, and that's not really accounting for the amount of food that each meal plan is giving you. And they all calculate your dog's nutritional requirements a little bit differently. So when you purchase a similar amount of food and variety of recipes from A Pup Above and PetPlate, my calculations put A Pup Above's food at about $13 per pound. That's just about twice the cost of PetPlate, which comes in at about $6 per pound. keep in mind that you're getting quite a bit more protein with A Pup Above, and protein is usually the most expensive component of food. So there's no question that PetPlate's more affordable, but if you're looking for a delicious food for your dog, then I think A Pup Above's the way to go. If the price of PetPlate's food sounds a little bit more appetizing, you might want to check out The Farmer's Dog, and I'll leave their video playing right here. They make delicious tasting dog food as well, and the price is pretty similar to PetPlate. And remember, if you do choose A Pup Above or PetPlate for your dog, make sure to use my links in the description of this video to get the best deal that I currently know of. I hope this helps you find a delicious food for your pup, and keep those tails wagging.